Sup, Internet?
So, that did not make my top 11 favorites list.
I actually believe you said the only way I will be really pissed off at the ending is if they, and I'm watching the episode going, Dave must have been pissed.
I will be frank, I actually was not as pissed as I thought I would be.
Okay.
Probably because I got all my aggression out at the mere speculation.
It's true.
Look, if you're already watching,
There are spoilers.
spoilers.
You're
Don't
expecting that.
don't watch this without watching the episode first. Or
Or you just lost a slap bet to yourself. I'm sorry.
yeah. No, I think I got all my aggression out at the notion just from speculating the notion. But I always knew there was the possibility that, like, well, once it became apparent that they at least wanted us to think the mother was dead, I thought if the mother's dead, he's going to get back together with Robin.
I was really hoping it would like end at her funeral or something. You know, like I thought the stuff they shot with the kids was gonna be like, hey, so mom's dead and that sucks and we're going to her funeral. We just got back from some like emotional thing like that. And all I knew was we're gonna end it with killing the mother, like a Joss Whedon style thing. But the mother dying was really like anticlimactic. Like it just whizzed by you and you're like, I'm sorry, we spent a season deconstructing a wedding that now did not work and you couldn't give us the death of the title character? Thank you for that.
That's actually the biggest problem I had with the finale. Well, really with the whole season, because I was enjoying this season.
It was phenomenal.
A lot.
This is my favorite season, I think.
I know a lot of people had issues with this season, but I was enjoying like the 72-hour thing. But lingering, like, it had a lot of filler.
Mm-hmm.
That now feels retroactively like such a waste of time to linger, 72 hours over the course of a whole season, only to have the finale rush through 15 years.
Yeah, well, additionally, I mean, okay, so I like this season for two main reasons. One, I've been at those weddings, and I've, being staff kids, our parents grew up going to conventions all the time, which would be like 3 or 4 day conventions. So you just live at this hotel for 4 days, and when you're 10 or 12, you just explore the hotel and, get into trouble and crazy hijinks on the fringes of what's actually supposed to be happening.
That's
so,
true.
like, watching this, I was like, this is exactly what it feels like to be at one of those events. Like, absolutely 100% I'm in. You've got a million little storylines going on that you forget about until they pop up again. Like, totally. Secondly, I loved the mother. They created this character and really built her up to be the perfect match for Ted. And so it actually wasn't anticlimactic to meet the mother because you were rooting for them to get together at that point. Not just because Ted was claiming, oh yeah, this is the love of my life, but because you wanted them together. They were great together. And so all season, I've been loving that we get actual time and face time with the mother. And then in the last episode, it's like, we don't care enough to actually show you the big shit, like, really show you their wedding, and, like, show you, I don't know, her death. We're not going to do that. Because we want to see him with Robin for 5 seconds at the end. After 45 seconds or a minute and a half of, we shot this back in season 2 and feel obligated to still use it. I was thinking about it. They could have used that same, stuff with the kids and just trimmed it way back and actually, like, made it way more powerful. If the kids were like, no, this is about how you're into Aunt Robin. And it's like, no. This is about how the man who was, in love with Aunt Robin became the man who met your mother. So, like, they could have, like, been like, you know what, I know we had this intention, but fuck it. We've got something better now.
So they could have just rewritten Ted's last lines.
Yes,
that's true.
And like, I mean, also the scene was like twice as long as it needs to be. So like, they could have hacked it in half and just like rewritten Ted's lines around the kids' lines.
I will admit that the mother's dead thing seems more callous to us because we're seeing it play out so rushed. Like, the kid said, Mom died 6 years ago, and someone was pointing out, I can't remember where I saw this, but I've already looked online a lot at what other people thought. But someone else said, the kids pushing him to Robin is probably just, they're sick of him moping around for the past 6 years.
I would have even been fine with it ending with him getting back out there and starting to date again. Mm-hmm. That would have been a great ending. It was like, she died 7 years ago, and you're never going to move on from that, but there's still hope for you, blah, blah. And if it started out with, or if it ended with, kind of the way it started out, with, like, him, kind of at a bar, at a event or something, and trying to meet someone, just kind of, hi, I'm Ted, or have Barney go, hey, have you met Ted? Created by, like, how, that could have been a great ending.
That actually was, I think, the funniest moment was in the opening scene when Barney's so excited to try and use Have You Met Ted again.
I was so disappointed he didn't get to. I'm not going to lie. I really wanted him to use that. Okay, so the scene with him under the umbrella was a great scene. Basically, anything with Ted and the mom was great. Because it's also, Ted and the mom.
There was not enough of it. Like we said, like, the biggest problems with the season was that, again, I didn't mind spending the whole season on this 72-hour or however long the weekend was period, but it meant there was a lot of filler. Now we're rushing through 15 years, and, like,
and it turns out nothing that occurred that weekend was significant anyway.
Well, that's the thing, is the entire season was about two things. Barney and Robin getting married, and Ted getting over Robin. Both of which are undone in the last episode. And this is a show that is no stranger to misdirection. Like,
sure.
The entire pilot episode is a misdirect. And I talked in my last video about how I think the Ted Mosby Architect episode is the perfect execution of a twist ending.
Absolutely.
Because it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense not knowing the twist, but then once you know the twist, it makes even more sense. Mm-hmm. And I don't think how it ends up, I don't think how this ended up will make this past season make more sense.
No, definitely not. Well, partially because we never see Marshall and Lily in Rome. So it's like, what are the big events that happened? Marshall became a judge. Lily got to go to Rome. Like, this, it was like, oh, we're going to Rome. Ted decided to move to Chicago. Excuse me. Barney and Robin got married. Ted got over Robin. And Ted didn't even meet the mother until the finale. So those are the 5 things that they, built up all season. We never see Marshall and Lily in Rome. That affects nothing, except, it means he doesn't take the judgeship.
We see 30 seconds of them in Rome.
Right.
Yeah.
As a punchline.
Mm-hmm.
But that means he doesn't take the judgeship. And, Ted doesn't move to Chicago. Barney and Robin get divorced. And I don't even remember what the 5th thing was. What was the 5th thing? Oh, yeah, and then Ted goes back to Robin. So literally nothing they spent the last 22 episodes amounted to anything.
This finale, the events of this finale really needed to be spread out over the season. Mm-hmm. Even like the first half of the season could have been the wedding, and then the second half could have been like the first 2 episodes are in 2015, the next couple of episodes are in 2018, whatever, and so on. But we needed to actually see. One, we needed time with Ted and the mother fully committed to each other.
Yeah. And
2, we needed time for him to actually get over that commitment if we wanted to buy him back with Robin.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. Well, and here's the thing. I was pissed last season or 2 seasons ago or whenever the hell they first brought back the, Robin shouldn't be with Barney. She should be with me. It was like, Ted, writer, whoever pitched that idea. Okay, y'all lost the slap bet, moving on. Just, no. I mean, I understand, we need Ted in crisis, we're moving up on the end of the series, but of course Ted's going to be in crisis. He's the guy who wanted to get married from the beginning of the show. And his two friends who were least likely to get married, his best man, his best buddy who's like, don't even think about getting married till you're 30, and the woman who dumped him because she couldn't commit to him are now getting married. Of course that's gonna fuck with your head. I mean, I'm Mr. Marriage, and I'm the guy who can't seem to find a woman? How is that fair? Like, I mean, hell, I'm 24, and for 3 years now, I've been struggling with all my friends are getting married, and what the hell? Like, he's in his mid-30s. Of course there's, inner turmoil about that. Not because he's artificially like, oh, yeah, we gotta shoehorn in, he's still in love with Robin. Like, because his own life isn't panning out the way he wants it to. He's a teacher, he's not an architect. He's single, he's not married, he's still, living with his best friend, like,
Side note, was there a reason that Ted and the mother waited so long to get married?
They couldn't fit it in their schedules or something. It was supposed to be quirky and indie or something.
Was there a narrative? Like, I'm not,
She wants to fit in her wedding dress.
Sure, that happened, and that was actually a kind of fun moment. But,
Sure, yeah, totally.
But
I thought that meant they were getting married sooner, though.
yeah,
I totally thought that meant we need to get married in 2 months.
And I'm not saying this as what television showed a couple with kids who aren't married. That's not the point. It's television showed Ted with kids and not married.
Yeah.
It's that. Yeah. That surprised me, and I actually think one of the more unfortunate implications of this finale is that the mother, because it was also rushed with the mother, the unfortunate implication is the thing the mother was good for was giving Ted kids, which was the one thing Robin couldn't give him.
Shit.
I don't think...
No, that's probably not the intent, but...
No,
damn,
But that's the callous, cynical takeaway.
I mean, because that's not an incorrect statement.
Yeah.
If you look at it clinically speaking, that is an accurate statement that she did give him the one thing that apparently Robin couldn't give him. Although that being said, pretty sure Robin couldn't give him... I'm pretty sure if they started dating, it wouldn't be like, oh, we're going to get married and spend the rest of our lives together. It's, well, we're getting up there in years. Let's, kind of see where this goes, and we're old and chill, so...
And they had... I mean...
And also, the Blue French Horn, we've seen that move. We've seen that move.
Well, and
if they wanted to, do it again, you would need to text her, meet me on the rooftop, and she would, go to the rooftop, and he'd be like, I spent many nights up here waiting for, the love of my life, and blah, 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 and now you're here, blah, 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 which would still be stupid, but at least it wouldn't be redundant on the same, just obliterating level.
Well, and also, if it had been the first time they called back the Blue French Horn,
sure.
If they hadn't also done the Blue Orchestra in another episode.
Oh, okay. Other
I get the desire for symmetry, but it
wasn't symmetry. It was repetition.
The entire series was lopsided.
The other great moment, dude. We licked the Liberty Bell. We did.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't remember that, dude? I've done a lot of
great stuff, dude.
That had me going.
And it's not that I didn't buy the events that happened. I buy Barney and Robin not working out in the long haul.
That's the other thing.
Yep.
They didn't flash back to his answer when she asked him, would you get off the exit ramp? He said, I promised I'd always be honest with you. But then it was like, this is both what you want. And Robin goes, yes. And Barney doesn't say anything. He so totally said no, and she left him. I was waiting for them to flash back to that and have it be like they reconcile when they're older. And it's like Robin was the one who left. And Barney was like, listen, I said I'd always be honest with you, and I love you. And I hate this. But I am not going to leave you. I just want you to quit your job. And she's like, I can't do that. And he's like, well, then you're going to have to leave me because I'm not leaving you. Like, I so thought there was going to be that scene, and then it was going to be like, oh my God, Barney, you have changed.
I mean, they showed punchlines about, oh, he has a daughter now, so
Right, but it was like
go home and think about
those.
your lives.
He's had those kind of moments before where it's like, wow, that's not what I expected from Barney, but it was with a complete Barney energy. So it's like,
Well, he has had epiphanies that didn't last.
yeah.
So
And I mean, do you really think he spent the rest of his life with that girl? No, he just had a kid with her. So I mean, they had that great moment with Barney and the kid, and they couldn't do that with his kid with Robin because they've established, oh, Robin can't have kids, which was a solid episode. But they never brought back the fact that she was a bullfighter. They never brought back, like, I was so expecting them to do something with that.
I mean, yeah, it was kind of glossed over, and she's been to countries.
Right, and they had the thing with, like, hey, whose baby is this? Which was a moment of, shit, she can't have kids. Whose baby is that?
Yeah.
Which was funny. But, man, they just shit on Robin the whole episode. Like, even if I wanted Ted and Robin together, I'm sorry, after the 30 years, or, no, I guess 20, however old those kids are. Yeah, so we'll say 20, 25 years of Robin being ostracized from the group that she spent 8 years of her life being close to. Oh, now she gets to be with Ted. Thanks, guys. That's great. I get Ted, the least interesting character on the show.
So the mother's dead and Ted ends up with Robin. Like I said, that probably made sense in season 2 when they filmed it. Back when the audience was liking Ted and Robin together. Back before we realized we liked Barney and Robin together more. And back before we liked the mother.
Ted with the mother.
Yeah.
Those count as 2.
And Ted with the mother.
And back before we realized how much we wanted to see Barney change.
Yeah.
And Robin change. Which, okay, arguably you still saw that maybe, so okay, taking that one back.
Arguably.
Arguably. I don't think so, but... Because, you think about it, they built so hardcore towards Robin changing. But in the end, the thing that tore apart their marriage was she chose her career over a relationship. Remember when they had a whole season finale based around the fact that she chose a relationship over a career? And he's like, dude, Robin from 4 years ago never would have done that. Might have been a season finale, I forget. It's the one where he dyed his hair blonde.
Right. But I wouldn't have wanted the moral of the story to be, Robin was only happy when she gave up career for a man, but...
Sure, but if you're going to break up the marriage, don't do it for the reason she's already, moved past, or have it be, you know what I mean? Like...
Well, if they had made it more definitively that it was Barney with the problem and not Robin... Imagine they only got that 13 episode run, that original 13 episodes, and there was that scene, Ted and Victoria run to each other at the end of episode 13, but they still put that scene with the kids at the end. That actually would have worked, because here's this Victoria girl we've barely seen, and that's how I met your mother. But that episode still ends with Robin's in love with Ted.
Yeah.
And, if it had just been that one season, and then... But now your mother's dead, and I'm going back to Robin. I
would have been like, whoa, plot twist!
Yeah. But by this point, it was too late. It was too late for the plot twist to be effective, especially because every theory had been predicted. The problem is the only things that this twist ending really explained were the things that we all stopped caring about, like, why is Ted telling this story? And why, why is it all about him and his friends and Robin and not so much about the mother? We all just accepted that's just the framework of the show.
Yeah.
Those weren't the questions, well, maybe somebody wanted those questions answered. Those weren't questions that I wanted answered. Over the years, they kept drudging back up the Ted has feelings for Robin thing. And now I realize the reason they were doing that was to make Ted and Robin still seem relevant in this finale, when they were never sure when they would end, just to make sure the idea of Ted and Robin was still relevant. The problem was we had all already moved on from the idea of Ted and Robin, and that only annoyed us more.
Yeah.
Like they were trying.
Honestly, if they had completely left out the Ted and Robin thing for the last 4 years or 5 years and then ended with that, it would have been like, oh, maybe. Like, I mean, it would have been a fresh enough idea that, like, it would have been stupid, but at least maybe we could have been like,
it would have been out of...
Okay, I'll give it thought.
Like, I think the reason they didn't do that is because they didn't want it to be out of nowhere. But I think out of nowhere would have been better than annoying.
Well, and that's not just that. It's when you tell your kids, this is the first time I told Robin the words I love you. And this is the 50th time I told Robin the words I love you. And that's how I met your mother. No, that's about how you love Robin. No, kids, you're high. I'm telling you. This is the story about how I met your mother. I told Robin I loved her, and then I hung out with Barney, then I told Robin I love her again, and the 5th time she said it back to me, and then I met your mother. Are you not seeing the connection here? No, Dad, I'm pretty sure that's about how you're in love with Robin. No, you're not listening to me, son. I'm telling you. When you go to a woman and say, I love you, that is the sign that you are going to wind up with someone else. That's why you never break the 3-day rule. Anyhow, it doesn't work, you know, because it's like, but no, that's not what I'm saying. Sorry. Ted's stupid, but even he's not that stupid.
Yeah, and again, I was okay with his stories being rambling. I was okay with him spending time explaining the love lives of other girlfriends. But yeah, the fact that he was in denial that the story was about Robin all along.
Yeah.
I mean, once it came, like, I would have preferred it didn't come up. Mm-hmm. Like, the story was always about Ted and his friends.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, the mother takes the picture of all of them in the booth on her wedding day.
Yeah. That was weird. I was really hoping it would turn into that last frame from the opening credits, and it didn't. And I was like, well, then that was fucking pointless.
But they already used that picture in at the beginning of the season.
I forgot.
Yeah.
But they did that. Never mind.
So I think they were going for a symmetry there, but it wasn't close enough.
Oh my god, it's my wedding day. I want everyone else to have the attention. It's like in 27 Dresses when it's like, yeah, that's what a woman wants, is for, you know, someone else to jump on her boat on her wedding day and steal her spotlight.
First off, don't ask why we know so much about 27 Dresses.
It'll make sense, okay?
You'll find out later.
Forward.
It'll all make sense. We will tell you about how we met 27 Dresses, and then we'll go off and marry Maid of Honor.
Can I go to the bathroom? I feel like I've been hearing this story for a year. No, stay there, son. Anyhow. But no, it's literally when she jumps on the boat, and it's like, yeah, that's what people want. And then it's like, hey, can we have a follow spot on that other cuter woman on my wedding day? Sounds like a plan. I'm going to take a photo of all 5 of you after letting you see me in my wedding dress. See? God damn it, it was that photo. That's why she died. It's the photo. Saw her in the wedding dress, bad luck, she died.
During the finale, the mother was kind of a manic pixie dream girl.
Yeah.
She was there just to facilitate Ted, in the extent that she did anything, she was there to facilitate Ted moving on to the other parts of his life. And the finale, it was a Robin episode. It should have been, like, and, I mean, if Robin was the end game, it makes, like, I get why they're thinking, well, Robin's the end game, we need this to be a Robin episode.
Then put an episode about the mother right before it.
Yeah.
Like, and needed a mother episode.
We needed a Ted and the mother episode, and this is why I was saying, it would have been easier to ease into this, again, if they had spread the events of this episode out over the season.
Yeah. And I mean, okay, and the other thing, like, if they really wanted Ted and Robin to end up together, it would have needed to be, we end an episode with, you know, the mother's funeral, and the next, or we end halfway, you know, through with the mother's funeral, and the next 30 minutes is dedicated to, now that she's dead, let's live in this world where we're not telling a story anymore. Mm-hmm. And, oh, hey, Robin still have feelings for you, blah, 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 which still might have, I think would have been dumb, but, you know, okay, they maybe could have made it work. And the other thing, like 90% of the foreshadowings to the mother being dead are about how much he misses her and loves her. So I'm sorry, but the fact that she's been dead for 7 years doesn't exactly make me want, oh yeah, the story is about how he's in love with Robin. And how much he fucking misses his wife. Like,
yeah.
Like, the moment I knew the mother was dead, the moment where I literally gasped watching the TV and said, Oh my God, she's dead.
I remember I was there.
What were you there? I couldn't.
Yeah.
I thought I was watching. Yeah, I guess you were. David already seen the episode. It was the the future
The Time Travelers.
Time Travelers.
Which again, one of my favorite episodes.
And it was the Time Travelers, and David was like, "This is a great episode." And I'm like, "Okay." And we're watching it, and it just keeps escalating. This is like, okay, this is a layer, but is this too absurd? Is this whatever? And then when it you figure out what the device is, and at the end it's like, oh, he's just imagining these things. He's thinking about possible futures and alternative histories and stuff. When he says, before, I would go and listen to, Barney and Robin argue at wedding stuff. I do this, I do that, but there's one place I'd go first. And when he has the line, I'm going to meet you in 31 days, but I want those 31 days back. And if I can't have it, as soon as he said I want those 31 days back, I gasped. I was like, oh my God, she's fucking dead. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm telling my kids a story about how I would travel through time to get the last 18 seconds with my wife before her boyfriend punches me in the face because I'm in love with Robin. Yeah, that makes sense.
I buy that events could transpire that would lead to Barney and Robin not working out, just as I buy that events could transpire that if the love of Ted's life died and Robin was available, he would move on to Robin. I buy those events in theory. But they spent this entire season building up our expectations and desires to not go in that direction.
Yeah.
They spent most of the show building our expectations and I'm good with the speaking words thing. Our expectations and desires to not go in that direction. And it's not that I don't buy the abstract concept of those events happening. I just don't buy the execution.
And it's also, like what you were saying about how hard they worked to build the Barney Robin thing to a believable point. Barney got engaged twice.
Mm-hmm.
And you're telling me now that this is a guy who just can't make commitment work because he's just Barney. He's dated 4 people seriously now. And got engaged twice, married once.
That's true. He has often been turning over a new leaf. And I think a lot of that was just, again, when they were never sure how much longer they had, they kept forcing the character, or they kept throwing to the character change, but then they had to pull back, but then they had to go again, but then they had to pull back, but then they had to go again, and it just, again, because they had that specific end game in mind, but they didn't know, if they had that specific end game in mind, they needed to plot the steps leading up to it a lot better, and they had to commit to a certain number of years to get to that point.
Yeah.
People always talk about, is it better to wing it and pull it out of your ass, or is it better to plan ahead from the beginning? And I think the real problem with the show was that it tried it both ways.
Yeah, because they didn't originally intend for Robin and Ted to wind up together. It wasn't it, remember? Weren't they talking about how it wasn't until they saw how much people wanted Ted and Robin together that they were like, oh, I guess we'll give them a whole season together? And that was part of the genius of getting us over the idea of Ted and Robin, was it's not like in Northern Exposure, anytime they had an episode where Joel and Maggie, finally hooked up, and then it's the one episode where it's oh, but then they got in a fight, or oh, but then they're going to pretend it didn't happen, or, but no, we got to see them have fights that didn't break them up. We got to see them have, issues and just suck it up and stay together anyway until they realized they couldn't make it work because there were fundamental differences in their values. So, when they finally broke up, it was earned. It was we gave this the best shot we could give it, and we are not right for each other.
It is a weird contrast with, JD and Elliot on Scrubs.
Yeah.
Where, the point at the beginning there was also they don't get together, which is why, less than halfway through season 1, they hook up and it doesn't work out. But then they kept going back and forth all that before they definitively said, no, it's not going to happen.
And then they stuck to that.
And then they stuck to that until it happened.
Right.
But the difference there is, like, that was a place of, like, kind of screwing things up along the way. But then in that last season, because I count the med school season as a spin-off and not in
It's
season
called med
Scrubs.
Yeah. It's called med school.
Yes.
It's a spin-off.
In
A backdoor first season.
yeah.
What you gonna do?
In the real last season of Scrubs,
Yes.
they had that episode where they sat down like adults and had a conversation about their relationship.
Yeah.
And that went so far to undoing so much of the damage, at least for me, that the
Yeah.
other seasons of Scrubs had done. And before that, I was adamantly like I didn't want JD and Elliot together. Like, the whole show has been about, it's not been about them being together. They've just been handling it weirdly. But then when they had that conversation, I was like, okay, I accept what you're giving me here.
Like, if you really wanted the two of them to whatever, you needed to kill Barney too. It occurred to me at points in the show, I think Barney might be dead, but I don't know. I would have been fine with that. If they had killed the Barney and killed the wife, then the two of them could have, maybe gotten together. But
that
it
would have
should
been suspiciously neat.
Yeah. In order to make it work, it couldn't be like, oh, you're in love with Robin. It would have to be like, unless it ended with the kids like, mwahaha, like, with knives behind their backs or something. That would have been an awesome ending.
How I Met Your Strangers on a Train. So the mother's first boyfriend was killed by dramatic convenience, which I guess is an STD because it killed her too.
Yeah. Yeah. Which brings me to the only thing I didn't like about How Your Mother Met Me.
Mm.
And it's not a problem so much with How Your Mother Met Me as with television in general. There's a very sexist dichotomy of the way they depict, the two sides of the guy and girl you want together. You see it on Castle, you saw it on Lie to Me, the 5 of you who watched Lie to Me, more power to us. Anyhow, you saw it here, which is the guy is always sleeping around a bunch, and the girl gets the steady boyfriend. Like, it always starts with the guy sleeping around a bunch, and then to even it up, they give the girl the steady one committed boyfriend.
Yes. Now, in this particular case,
they had 22 minutes to tell her whole story.
They had 22 minutes to tell her
But if they even made it clear she was dating intermittently, it would have been like, okay, cool, we can just accept that probably that happened.
Well, and especially when back in the 100th episode, her roommate says, like, all the guys fall in love with her.
Sure. But we still should have been given some indication that
that's what I'm saying is they wrote themselves in the ability to have her be seeing other. Now, and granted, I'll chalk that up to 1, they had 22 minutes to tell her story, and 2, they kept stretching Ted's story out longer than they thought they would, because they kept getting renewed.
Sure.
Unlike My Battery Life, apparently. When I eventually get this season on DVD, probably used, of How I Met Your Mother,
it'll be scratched perfectly on that disc, so this one episode won't work.
I'll just re-edit it so that last week's episode was the season finale, but then at the end I put just the scene with the umbrella.
Yeah, I was trying to think of a way to, because there are a couple scenes from this I'd like to incorporate, and I would like them to be kind of at the end. So,
gentlemen, get your Phantom edits ready.
Totally doing one.
I might just do a Phantom edit of like
the mother scenes.
Well,
I guess isn't a Phantom edit. That's what's it called? A supercut or something.
A supercut. I might do a Phantom edit of like the essential story moments from the entire series.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say I might do that, I mean I absolutely won't, because I don't even have time to edit the videos that people watch.
Like this one.
But I don't think the finale completely ruins the rest of the series for me.
Yeah.
It will for some people, but I was never really in the series for the end game anyway. I was never I figured out early on the series, this isn't really about how he meets the mother, because when he meets the mother, that's the end of the show. Like, this is about leading him to that moment, sure, but I wasn't one of those people who was like, oh, is that the mother? Oh, is that the mother?
Once I got up to speed, I wasn't. When I was catching up, I was like, oh, yeah. And then as soon as I caught up, I'm like, I was like, oh, now I'm at the status quo. This is not what the show's about. And I started rewatching episodes. I'm like, yeah, I still don't care anymore.
It did probably help that I binge watched the first 3 seasons in like a month. I think the hardest problem with me accepting what ended up happening with these characters' relationships was it was already well-trodden ground.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was already stuff they had gone back and forth on multiple times. They had Barney and Robin get together and break up multiple times. They had Ted and Robin break. Yep.
You know what they should have done? They should have killed Robin. And then Ted and Barney at Robin's funeral. That would have been a thing. And so, like, if Robin died instead of them getting divorced, like 3 to 5 years into that marriage, in a bullfighting accident or something. And then, of course, the kids have to know her, so it would have to be around long enough that the kids know her. But if Robin had died, then Barney goes back to his old ways, and it's kind of like, I found the love of my life with Robin, that's not going to happen again. And then they did that he knocks up some girl and sees and has his kid after, Robin's dead. And it's like, that's the new love of his life, is this daughter he has. That would have been awesome. And it would have been a lot kinder to Robin.
Yeah.
Because damn did they hate her that last episode.
The show's biggest flaw is that they were too good at making us want the things that they knew wouldn't last.
Okay, that was, like, creepily insightful.
I get that they're fans of Misdirection, but... And they found themselves in this trap because they realized they had accidentally made at least a certain faction of people want Ted and Robin when Ted and Robin wasn't supposed to happen. But now that Ted and Robin was supposed to happen, they made the rest of us want not Ted and Robin.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
They really should have... Well, back when they filmed the scene with the kids, they should have filmed a couple of alternate options.
Yeah, or just them saying, like, nondescript things, like Chef's last episode of South Park. Yeah!
Thanks, Randy. Also, there was absolutely no reconciliation of Josh Radnor's voice and Bob Saget's voice.
Nope.
None at all.
Nope. The last few scenes clearly should have been Bob Saget in a Josh Radnor face mask. Or just dubbing over all of Josh Radnor's lines. So you think I should go talk to him? That might have been that would have looked hilarious, like in the worst possible way, but... No, you know what? You should have just dubbed over Robin's lines, and they just don't explain it.
No,
She's really the one who's been telling the story.
No, John Stamos should have dubbed Robin's lines.
Let's end on a non-reference, like a statement or a question or something.
I'm more hesitant now to call How I Met Your Mother one of my favorite shows.
Yeah.
Just because, like, it has always had missteps. It has always done so many things so brilliantly and so perfectly, but then there were missteps along the way. And up till now, for me, the brilliant moments have made up for the missteps. But ending on what I found to be a misstep, and I don't want to make you feel bad if you didn't think it was a misstep. You know, if you're one of the people who wanted Ted and Robin together, congratulations. But ending on what for me was kind of a sour note kind of taints my perspective of the whole series and, you know, throws it off. Well, it doesn't taint my perspective of individual episodes that I enjoyed, but just like the plotting of the series as a whole in retrospect looks clunkier because now I see what they were trying to do and how they wrote themselves into corners over and over again because of a constantly uncertain future that was leading to a certain point that they weren't confident enough in how they would get there. But none of that changes how much I had been enjoying the show over the past, well, for me, 5 years. none of that changes all the joy the show had brought me, how much all of those 11 episodes I listed the other day, how much those all mean to me, and how many times this show has been there for me, you know, at times in my life where I needed the things this show was saying, and how much this show has helped me process my own life, which, again, might say sad things about me in my life, but...
Because you're dead. And that's sad for anyone.
No, I was even worse. I was a cross between Ted and Marshall.
You were Med Tarshall. You poor bastard.
Yep. Med Tarshall, architect.
No, I'm pretty sure you were Med Tarshall. Please.
I am forever grateful for all the things this show, like for all the good times I had with this show, and in the long run, you know, it's just a TV show. I didn't like the finale, but
they owed us life satisfaction, and they will pay. I have perspective and shit.
I didn't hate the finale with a burning passion either, but it wasn't where I wanted the show to go. And there were ways they could have there were ways they could have set it up so I would have been more receptive to it that they didn't take.
I don't hate you, I nothing you. Oh, thanks, that's special.
Kind of, yeah.
Sorry, back to Scrubs.
So,
I would say we came full circle, but it's really more like we kind of did this arc, and then went back up, and then went spiraled out.
much like Ted and Robin's relationship.
Hey-oh! Take a shot.
If this had been just a run-of-the-mill, mostly bland sitcom, a misstep in finale wouldn't have bothered us at all.
Yeah.
But because we knew that it was capable of great things, like high highs and low lows, we would have just rather it had ended on a high high.
Yeah. Or at least a decent mid.
Yeah. As unhappy as I was with the finale, I was ready to move on by the end of it. And not in a, oh, I'm so angry I never want to speak of the show again way. And not in a, oh, that was everything I wanted it to be and I'm happy way. Just in a, well, sometimes you say goodbye to things way. And I don't feel... I'm not clingy about the show, you know. It's filled its role in my life, and I will be revisiting some episodes and not revisiting others. That's pretty much it. Fan. Spider-Man?
No, I was trying to do the magic sparks.
Yeah.
Oh, you know the Barney with the no magic?
I'm not adding those VFX in.
That's why I tried to do the sound effect with my lips, but I'm half-assing it.
I was going to say, we didn't even bother to light the green screen for any practical purpose, so I'm definitely not adding magic sparks.
Yellow, red, orange, green! See, that last one was particularly hard for you. And there's the talking dolphin. Should I just keep making more shit that you're going to have to add in? Oh, look, my finger's a lightsaber. Rotoscope it, Dave. Add a squib hit or something.
Zach put up a video today, probably a few days ago by the time you're watching this. Watch R.L. King's Terminator review. It had a lightsaber in the background, and I just had horrible rotoscoping flashbacks.
Yeah, it's like PTSD. But they couldn't have that great... Sorry about that, sound guy. Sorry, Dave. I know you're going to hate me for that. Still working? Cool.
The things are still bouncing on the screen, so I assume it's still picking up sound.
Yeah, but that could just be its dying swan song. Anyhow, as opposed to any other kind of swan song, I guess.
This is my swan song of life.
I came out of the womb just singing a swan song. I thought I was stillborn for a moment, then realized he's singing a fucking swan song. He's probably not dead.
Okay, if you keep talking about swan songs, I'm going to start quoting Parks and Rec instead.
Fair enough. It's better when it goes down the wrong pipe.
We just quote other things now. So we're basically like any other internet review.
That could just be the name of the show. We quote other things.